Hi everyone, it's Alicia here at Cosmic Gateway. Welcome to July of 2023. I am so excited to be here and to share this energy update. So it'll be probably more of an observational data accumulation of what I've observed over the last month and where we're heading into July of 2023. And also included in that will be the intuitive guidance insights. So I've had the artwork prepared. So stay tuned for that. There will be timestamps in the description box so that you can flick through, because I do feel that this is going to be yet another sort of long video. I think there's a lot to cover and a lot to share. So just thank you so much for being here. Where to begin? Okay, well, first of all, I have written some notes, but I've also got so much information that's sort of buzzing through my field since I woke up this morning. Actually, it began last night, so we'll backtrack there. But first of all, for July, the theme that has been playing out over and over is this is big energy that we're moving into for July. And what it's giving us opportunities for is to break through cycles, to break through patterns, loops, timelines, stuck energy that has been at play. And that will be quite unique to the individual of how long that has been at play. It could be years, it could be lifetimes, but what is coming through is how it will show up is the biggest loop or pattern that has been prevalent throughout your life, or at least over the last few years. So, where there's big energy influxes that are preparing us to allow us to be able to move beyond that threshold and break out of those cycles and patterns, which is hugely important, hugely exciting. And I think what that does for us is it breaks us free of liberation, restriction, suppression, victim consciousness, things that have held us back from really stepping into and embracing our true divinity, our true sovereignty, and our highest potential of what we're here to actualize in in the planet at this time right now. So one thing that has also been coming through to me is that we're stepping into a phase now, individually and collectively, where the true work truly begins. And that is absolutely not to discredit the work that has been done up until this point in time. It just simply means that there's more, I'm trying to find the right word. There's more definition in terms of what our true work is. It's the beginning stages of that for many, or a deepening stage. Um, and what we have been doing up until this point has simply just been our training wheels, our preparation, gathering experiences and information so that we can move into this phase. So there's a lot of emphasis on that. I know that's some big calls, but I'm just sharing what has been coming through repetitively to me directly through insights, and also what I've been witnessing through personal sessions as well. So I like to share themes that are coming up and express that to you in the best way that I can. That if it resonates for you and that it helps and supports you in some way. Um, I'll come back into the breaking through the loops and patterns in a little bit more detail, because there's a lot to unpack around that. But I want to come back to talking about what happened in the lead up to recording this video. So I've been prepping to do this for a couple of days, and I originally planned to record this yesterday, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I felt very disconnected. I felt very sort of tired, that sort of overwhelmed feeling, and that had been lingering for a few days. And I kept hearing, this is probably one of the most important videos or information in a video that you'll put out. And I was like, really? Like, I don't really have a lot to share right now. And it said, just wait, there will be. And sure enough, you know, really trusting that. And sure enough, here we are. So I talked about in a post just recently in the last few days about a new love wave frequency that's coming in, that's pushing us to kind of do some rapid releasing, especially from the physical body. So there's a couple of themes that are playing out. That influx that I felt come through earlier in the week, so in the last, we're looking at the last week of June, that took a couple of days to kind of integrate. So there was like this big, what I see it as like a pink frequency, magenta, but really vibrant hot pink, which I associate being love, but also high heart. So it's not only is it a frequency of feeling unconditional love, but it's also connecting to purpose, to soul, purpose, mission, and just what I was describing, really what I'm truly here to do and how I'm meant to express that through my physical senses. So that came through around, yeah, the Tuesday in the last week of June. And then there was this 2 days of disconnect, and it was like processing through. And I was hearing this is just going to be temporary. We've got another big wave coming through. So just take the time, relax, prepare. But in that intermittent period, there was a lot of restlessness. There was a lot of boredom, confusion, feeling a bit lost, and not a lot happening in the physical world. And I often associate that with two things: timeline shifts. So just to reiterate, this is one of my messages that I repeat quite repetitiously because I find it so helpful, is that when we're in going through a big timeline shift, there's always an intermediate period that lasts for a day, maybe a couple of days, where there's this nothing, there's a void space. And that is necessary because what's occurring in the energetic field is that we're disconnecting from those old timelines. Energy cords are falling away or dissolving. So we're kind of forced to sit still and present in that moment, because if we're acting too much or doing too many things, distracting away from that process, we're only re-engaging into the old timelines that are dropping away. So it's like, it's in those moments of stillness, meditation, self-care, rest, rejuvenation, and just allow the process to move through you. So that then brings me to the Thursday evening. So I'm recording this on Friday, so just the 30th of June. So as we're moving into July, I noticed throughout the afternoon, coming out of that restless boredom, I could feel a permeating warm sensation running through the upper chest, in the heart and the high heart, if you to locate it based off energy centers. That lasted for a few hours. And then by the time we got into the evening, I could feel once again this expansion, this heart expansion frequency of love. And it was really palpable. And I noticed that there was a real upswing in consciousness, ideas, being able to feel into future timelines that are opening up, opportunities. Just, it felt like a very expansive energy. And I think this probably came through for about 8 hours approximately, and it was incrementally building and building until the evening. And I noticed by the evening there was a lot of vertigo, a lot of dizziness. And I thought, oh, I think I need to go to bed. I actually got up suddenly, and it was like I was drunk. I almost lost my footing completely. And so I took myself to bed. And as I laid down, I really felt into that pink energy again, this pink frequency. that's what I kept seeing, and I could feel it in my heart, and it was expanding through me, and it was beautiful. But I also noticed that there was a counterbalance energy. So when we're talking about duality, dark and light, I did notice that there were, polite way of saying it, more intrusive thoughts and energies that were trying to come in to prevent that kind of fully flowing through the system. And so instantly I just kind of clocked it, and I just was able to clear that, just through the intention of, no, you're not welcome here, clear the space, and just allow that pink energy to keep coming through. So that happened around 11:30 p.m. Exactly an hour later, we had a sizable CME, so solar flare come through. I think it was a M class, M4 point something. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I would have to check. Let's see if I can. 3 point. It was an M class 3.85 that came in an hour later. So I've been also noticing the correlation between about exactly an hour before a solar flare notification comes up, and you can get that on the Space Weather Live app. You get the live notifications. So I noticed that heart opening frequency occur almost exactly 1 hour, sometimes a little bit longer, and then we'll have a sizable solar flare come through. So that happened, and then exactly an hour after that, I was off in dream space, as I do, working my night shift. I was in the process of doing a big energy clearing, and I actually don't know if I woke up or it woke me up, but there was this vibration, shaking sensation happen. And I opened my eyes and I noticed the whole house was shaking. And keep in mind, I live in Melbourne, Victoria. So this isn't a common occurrence. So for those who perhaps live in other parts of the world where this is a common occurrence, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's and I couldn't actually get the word in my head, but I was like, oh, and then eventually it came through, like, oh, it's an earthquake. Actually having an earthquake right now. So I checked my earthquake app and it hadn't updated, but I fell straight back asleep. But by the time I woke up this morning, I noticed a pounding headache, which I often get when there's sizable earthquakes. And I immediately had a look, and yes, we've had quite a sizable earthquake here in Victoria, in the same location. So it was a 4.59. So I think that's probably one of the largest ones for Victoria ever recorded. And it's in the same location where we had one in 2021. So bear with me. I'm correlating dots and facts from as soon as I woke up, what came through. And I was like, huh, okay, wow. And it's the first time I've ever put the pieces together. And I know people have asked me before, is there correlation between influx of energy or solar activity and earthquakes? And I said, I'm sure there is, but it's not something that I've personally been able to observe or witness. And this morning I was like, yeah, to me, there was a direct correlation. And I can think back now to a handful of times where we've had minor little earthquakes. I've had what I call like a huge heart opening, and then all of a sudden an earthquake goes off. So I do feel like there's a correlation between heart opening that people witness or experience that's interacting with frequencies that are coming in. And that is creating a shift in the earth herself. So I think there's more to it. I think there's more ways or perspectives that we can look at, especially, things like earthquakes and underground tunnels, facilities, things like that. I think they're all right. And the reason that I share that is because in the days leading up to that, I knew that I was what I call being taken out. I was very disconnected, and I knew that my nervous system was going on overdrive. I was very sensitive to light and sound. And I knew that when I close my eyes in those moments, I can actually kind of perceive where there is another aspect of my consciousness operating. And for the days leading up, I was witnessing a lot of facilities, underground bases, interrogation rooms, people being, interrogated, things like that. So that has been a prominent theme that I've been noticing when I have those moments, probably for 2 months now. So there is certainly, I think it all, I hope you're following me up. I think it all interacts, and I think it's all relevant, and it's all interconnected. So I want to go back to the earthquakes and how that correlates with influxes of energy, how it's changing our bodies, our systems, and how it's preparing us. Because I woke up and I've actually never ever thought this, or never had the inkling to say it out loud, because I've never been 100% sure. But this morning I had, without a doubt, we are in the opening phase to the run through to start to experience the unraveling of events that will lead us to the event solar flash, or a massive shift in consciousness and energy on this planet. And I feel like the experiences that I had, that I'm sharing with you, is starting to snowball in its in how regular it's occurring, and how it's incrementally increasing. Now everyone's going to experience that differently, and I'm just sharing from my vantage point, but we're in some exciting times, but also in a pocket of turbulence. I think July speaks to a lot of turbulence and chaos, and I think it's also a lot of love and beauty, and I think we need to find ways that we can work with those and know what our role is to be able to balance what is occurring on the different levels and through our experience. So I was guided to go back. It was interesting. I was guided to go back and re-listen to a BQH session that I had with Alisha Co back in 2021. And the strong guidance came through was there's information in there that is prevalent to now. And that session was very much based on the lead up into the event and what would be witnessed. Funnily enough, there was a big emphasis put on earthquakes. And what was described during that was that the influx of the energy hitting does create this instability in the earth temporarily. And I want to make it really clear, I don't perceive huge natural disasters. I do feel that that is a possibility on a timeline that could be experienced, but I don't necessarily, I've never felt that as part of something that I will experience or that many will experience. And I think that is a personal timeline for some people and not for everyone. And what I mean by that, I really want to get this very, very clear. I think that as these events unravel and we go through this ending of this breaking out of our own personal individual cycles and collectively, I think that correlates together, because I think for July, for many of the frequency holders, the breakthroughs that are being achieved, possible to achieve, is only building to collective breakthrough that will proceed in the months to come. So I think that when it comes to big earth changes and things like earthquakes, those who need to have that experience or have already written it on their timelines, they may. But I also think that collectively, while we've been working through the astral realm, when we get called, when we get pulled out, our nighttime shift work, I think that a lot of us have, for many, many years, whether we're aware of it or not, have been working to shift and change the collective timelines so that those things don't occur. And I truly believe that wholeheartedly, that this is, we're working tirelessly around the clock to make this transition as seamless as possible, and to have the less detrimental impact or collateral damage as we transition from one reality into another. So I do feel, and once again I wrote a post about this, but I didn't elaborate. I wanted to share this through recording. I do feel like we have completed out a big 3.5 year timeline, perhaps even coming up to close to 4, which is basically the global initiation timeline that we've all gone through. The COVID timeline as a marker. So I think the beginning of that dismantling of that timeline started back in the end of November of last year of 2022. And I think it's taken us this portion of time to be able to get through completely wrapping that up. And as we've closed it off, so we're looking at a timeline that really kind of started in the beginning of 2020, around, yeah, I don't know, January, March sometime, and we're wrapping that up now. So things that we may notice as that closes up is a lot of changes in our physical body. Some people's experience to be able to purify that timeline energetically and physically out of have had sickness or illness, flu-like symptoms impacting the chest, the lungs, the heart. It could be pre-existing illnesses that have flared up. Whatever was really impactful for part of your process of awakening, initiation into your ascension pathway throughout that period of time is probably coming up for evaluation and review. As timelines shift and change, we notice a change in our personal dynamics, our relationships, our friendship circles. Intimate relationships can come to an abrupt end, jobs, living locations, things like that. So I do feel that there is this energy of shifting and moving again. I've noticed that in one particular group who sort of had the abrupt awakening catalyst and been put on the fast track since the beginning of 2020, I'm noticing there's a real leveling up of that group of people in terms of really stepping up and stepping out and doing what they're called to do. Changes in moving house, geographical location, changing countries. There's been a big influx of themes of that I've been witnessing over the last month or so. So that, yeah, there's this movement of energy and migration that's occurring. Sorry, I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but there's kind of a lot that all interlink. So I hope that you're able to follow me. Where to go next? So the end of the COVID timeline. Obviously, that was a collective timeline that was necessary to kind of wake and shake a lot of people up, and it was very, very effective. I think on a global level, we'll probably see a lot of perhaps closure coming to more and more information coming to light. And as we've witnessed in June has not been short of fast and furious disclosures and informations coming out on all the levels. But specifically perhaps around truth being revealed around COVID and all its associations as we close out that timeline to give people closure. That does mean that we're moving into a new phase, individually and collectively. And I say that, and I was like, I don't know what that means yet. I can have speculations, but I don't know, and I don't think anyone truly knows. I'll be doing more videos throughout July where I'm in the process of connecting with people, gathering information, and be sharing more on perhaps potentially what to expect as we unravel the second half of 2023. But what I do know and what I do feel is really important is it's opening us into this in-between phase, and that is a preparatory phase to move into new Earth reality. So we're definitely moving into a noticeable new Earth. A noticeable new reality shift is upon us and is opening up and is accessible and available to us. Perhaps not all the time, but it's incrementally trying to push in. And of course, when we're anchoring new energies and frequencies and accessing new timelines, there is that process of a little bit coming in and then release what's not in compatibility of that, whether that's an internal process or it plays out, presents externally, or a combination of both. So be gentle on yourself and come back to the why. So during times of feeling that or going through that release, that clearing, I think it's been really highlighted to me in my awareness of be conscious while you're doing it. Why, come back to the why of why you're going through this process in the moment, honoring what you're feeling, but also having the higher awareness of I'm doing this for whatever it is, your personal reasons as what you know, or reaching for what you know is beyond the other side. So it's kind of having a balanced perspective while honoring what the human body is going through or the emotions that are running through. Sometimes that can help hold you in a more stable place, and get you through it with a bit more grace and ease than perhaps what you have done before. And I think we're becoming masters now, and I just want to take this time and opportunity, coming back to that big breaking down of patterns and loops and timelines, the amount of people that I've had the privilege of witnessing coming to a point of saying, no more. I've dealt with this for 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, however long, and this has been a pattern, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to break through and break free of this. So if you're one of those people that I've been in connection with and watching, like, just big heartfelt love going out to you and the work that you're doing on your individual level. But even if I haven't come in contact with you and you're one of those people that is moving through something so monumental, just know that I see you and I honor what you're working through, because it's huge. I mean, do you take the time to, like, as you're going through your day, just step in awe of what we're experiencing and witnessing on a global level? It's huge. It's never been done before. And so maybe that could be the why. If you don't have your own personal why, come back to something like that. I'm just going to go through my notes now. I'm just seeing. Oh, okay. So yeah, when breaking, if you are one of those people that are breaking through massive patterns or cycles, just know that you're being offered a great opportunity, even though it may feel terrifying or scary or foreign or uncomfortable. And just know that you're being given this opportunity so you can move through it, break through once and for all. And there's so much gifting in that. And I think there's a lot of recalibration of soul fragments and aspects coming back when we've moved through something so huge. Hence, a lot of the artwork is based around diamonds and hearts and spirals. So as you're moving through that, if you can bring yourself back into a heart-centered space rather than being in the looping of the mind, and that is part of the breaking through of the programs that we have to go through, that letting go and dissolving of. But I think it's also really important that we acknowledge and come back into our heart space and know that this is an opportunity to play out in a different way, not to repeat the patterns and loops and how we've reacted in the past, but how we can navigate through with a heart-centered space. So perhaps, just keeping that in mind and knowing that one really good way is when we're in that excessive mental energy that has been so predominant, especially in the first part of this year, is I've noticed that when that's occurring, it's because our energetic field is really, really out very, very far. So we're actually taking in a lot of information from the ether, the astral, the energetic field, the collective field, other people's fields. So what I try to keep very consciously of is bringing myself back into my body, back into my breath, and back into my heart space, and consciously bringing my energy field back into the very here now moment, being really present. How does my body feel? What's happening in my body right now? And just doing that, even for a couple of minutes, can really help realign and center yourself to then be able to have more clarity of how to navigate through whatever is coming up, rather than just being, you know, completely in a space of discombobulation, as sometimes we are. So, okay, so I'm going to break down a little bit more in specific terms about these patterns, breaking through these patterns, loops, and cycles, and how that may show up based on what I've been witnessing. Is often I get to a point where we're engaging with our optimum timeline or our optimum frequency. So we're running at high level of consciousness, and we're moving towards where we're meant to head. Everything's aligned, everything's flowing, we feel great. It's when we're in those moments of like, everything's coming together. And generally, what I've noticed in my own experience and many others, something goes askew, something out of left field. There's a plot twist that happens, and then all of a sudden, seemingly everything falls apart. I think we can all relate to that, and we've all been through that more times than once. These have been test runs. There's different ways to interpret that and different ways to look at it. But if we just look at it as these have been test runs to prepare us for the final breakthrough, to gather as much experience, knowledge, wisdom, healing, incorporation as we possibly can. I have no doubt that there has been a massive level of interference that has also occurred with that. So that's another vantage point. And I'll get to that in a second, because I think what happens is when we're in that space of flow, expansion, connected, running at high frequency, our light is very, very bright, and it can be seen, it can be detected, and it can also be infiltrated. And so often what I've noticed is when that's happening and then all of a sudden everything falls apart, generally there is an infiltration of energy, people who are affected by those energies that come in that kind of break things up. And I think that there's a divine tapestry to all of that. There is absolutely or at least from my perspective, there shouldn't be any way of seeing things from a victim mentality, but seeing it for what it is. And there's always opportunities for learning and growth. And sometimes when things have broken apart, it seems as because maybe it wasn't meant to move ahead. Maybe, the projects, the people, the relationships, whatever, it was not meant to go ahead, even though it seemed like it was so right at the time. So what we're getting to now, or the vision that I was being shown earlier this week, as that that heart energy was coming in, was the different threads of all the experiences that we've had being or embodying, accessing that higher timeline and kind of moving forward, and before it drops away. So it's like these beautiful threads of experience of what the magic that we've witnessed along the journey, the magic that we have seen and experienced and know what is possible, in that seemingly infinite space of potentiality. It's like we're weaving all those energy strands together to build within us, to make us really solid, to make us really strong, building a solid foundation so that as we get to this breaking out of the loop, or the loops that have been running energetically, we're now in a space where we can just almost bulldoze right through. So that feels very, very exciting. I don't know how that's going to play out, but this is what I've been shown. Where the coming back to like just a breakdown of the energetics of what I see through my work, of what occurs, of what prevents us from moving through, or what has prevented us up until now moving through those thresholds, is that what is ingrained in our energy field is a looping pattern in itself. So this can come through and look in many different ways. It can be trauma that is ingrained in the body, that is deeply embedded, that may be blocked, that we haven't been able to gain access to until this point. It can be implants, or what I call frequency chips, which is an energetic version of an implant. Implant's more of a physical thing. Frequency chips is the same thing, but it's something that has been marked on us. So that, yeah, I guess a lot of us, some of us, if that resonates for you, we have been marked since birth, or since young childhood, from wherever. Let's not go into that. That's a whole rabbit hole in itself. But I think what happens is, as we start to emulate at that highest frequency point, either a trauma will come up, or the flash will go off on that frequency chip, and it's almost like something comes in to like squash or prevent. And it was a bit like what I experienced last night, that beautiful frequency coming in and noticing there was a counterbalance and going, no, not this time. Generally, this has been stored, or I noticed these distortions in the field that are being highlighted now, or being accessed now, generally stored in the lower three chakras, the lower three energy centers, the like from the heart down, maybe in the physical body, sacral, root, base, or solar plexus, stomach area. They're the ones that are connected to our physical reality, our 3D experience. And there has been so much clearing that we have done on a collective level since February until now, on those levels, through our bodies, through our own experience, that now people are really being able to access really core stuff that they haven't been able to clear it, which is now allowing us to encode more of this light and frequency coming through. Going back to what I mentioned in the June video, the golden grids, these pink frequencies, whatever color is coming through, because I see it often as a rainbow. We've got all these beautiful energies coming in that are available to us. So as we're clearing out, we're just bringing in this solid foundation. And that was certainly my experience throughout June. I went through months of deep clearing around base level stuff, primal stuff, fear, safety, security, and a lot of old wounds that are coming up from eons, or wherever it has been held. I won't go into the specifics, but it was all very much about our primal needs. So fear around physical health, safety, security, abundance, shelter, sense of belonging, all those different aspects. And I think that ties into the timeline that is now being dissolved, that we experienced throughout the period of COVID. And that global initiation was really highlighting and targeting those areas specifically, at least energetically. It was, it was threatening people's livelihoods and health and, life, and very, very primal things. So what I witnessed and what I'm noticing a lot of people going through is this emptying out, or almost excavating through the energy column, which then incorporates the energy centers, but it's actually creating a full column. And what I noticed around mid-June was that there was a completion phase that occurred right at the deepest level of the base, at the base of the spine. And then I could feel that there was this encoding of new energy that started to come in, and I physically felt it. I could feel the surge of energy, just like a kundalini. So how I interpret that is, it's been a slow process of yet another Kundalini energy activation or experience that has been slow, gentle, sustainable. And this was the information that was given to me in the beginning of the year that would occur. So it's really good to see things showing up in real time now and not having these like 4-year deltas. So, so that part is exciting. So what I've noticed is this incorporation of the new earth grids, the golden grids coming into people's bodies, being able to hold that frequency so that we can then shift into this noticeable new reality. And so that's been a process that has been unfolding over a couple of weeks, and I've noticed that it's like slow and gentle, and I feel like as we're closing off June, it's finally coming to the higher chakras, energy centers. And what has come through, if you've been going through the same thing, is now we're stepping into a much more magnified, heightened sense of consciousness and awareness, which is allowing us to navigate through the next part of the year, especially as we enter into July. July, I feel, has such a ripe time for rapid manifestation, but because there's going to be so much chaotic energy, we have to really be aware and focused on where we're drawing our attention to. Is it our optimum timeline? Is it our focus on new earth reality creation, creation for the good of all? Or are we being distracted by all these events that are happening? And that, so it's like really being able to sharpen our focus and it's just like sharpen our focus and keep our eye on the prize, for lack of a better phrase, of where we're heading. And giving us grace if we wobble. Of course, that's the human experience, but it's like keep bringing our focus, be really focused on where we're heading, and the fact that we are in this very ripe manifestation, knowing that our energy contributes to the collective, and the timelines that are opening up. So what do we want to give our focus and attention to? Is it the chaos that is, dismantling the old systems and structures, or is it creating a new? And I think as I say that, I just want to put in like a side note. I think that some people, that's what I've been asked and called to do, but do as you're being asked and called to do, because your role may look very different. Your role may be to be in amongst the chaos and the dismantling, so we all have our different roles, and just really feel into and trust your own intuition and what is right for you. But I think the main piece of information is the fact that because we are in such a ripe time of rapid manifestation, just notice where you're putting your attention to. So I think that's it. I know that's a lot, and I feel like I've spat out a lot of information really quickly. Just checking my notes. The last thing. So in terms of transits and astrological alignment, well, obviously we've got the 777 gateway. We have Galactic New Year, which is around, I think, the 25th, 26th of July. And then we also have on the 17th of July, we have the node changes. And, that's an 18-month transit. We're moving out of Taurus and Scorpio, and we're moving into Libra and Aries. I'm not going to go into the details of that. I think I did a video a month or so ago that includes that, and I'm certainly not an astrologer, but just energetically or intuitively what I pick up is because we've had the South Node in Scorpio, and that's what we've been releasing and letting go of the last 18 months, and that started, I think it was the 18th of January 2020, for memory. So that theme has been really highlighted around all scorpionic things, taboo, what is hidden underneath the surface, sexuality, sexual abuse, death, deep transformation, secrets, lies, things that are hidden, things that are, to anything that's kind of taboo, hidden societies, all those sorts of themes has been a real topic to heal, release, and bring to the surface. And I certainly think we've witnessed that. But I think as we get to the end of that, there's going to perhaps be more to kind of squeeze it through that last part. And then as it changes into Libra, being in the South Node, I find it interesting. Libra, the sign of justice, are we going to see a lot of those things that have been exposed come to light? Justice to be witnessed, experienced, and an equilibrium and a balance coming about, or at least that's what we'll be working towards over the next 18 months of that transit. I'm sure there's a lot more to it, so have a look at some great astrologers who will probably explain that a lot better, but that's just my intuitive take on it. The other intuitive hits that I have come to feel into around that is when we had the reverse, so when it was Libra and Aries, but in the reverse position, so Aries that was in the South Node position, that that was 2014, 2015. And so I feel like there's a reversal that's happening of whatever started then and didn't sort of come into fruition. I feel like we're entering into, and this will be in our personal lives, so maybe have a glimpse back around what was happening in your life around 2014, 15, and how that might be coming into full circle now. And also if you're looking into the bigger pattern, I think it was 2004, 2005 was the last time we had this Libra and Aries South North Node position. So that's just kind of my intuitive hits. Hopefully that may have sparked something in you and you're getting lots of ahas. That was my intention before I sat down to record this video. So I think that's all. I could probably keep going on and on and on, but I'll save it and I will try and create some more videos. I think I've been going for almost an hour now, so I think it's time to settle in to do the intuitive insight guidance. So I'm just going to take a sip of water. You probably would have seen on the thumbnail, the image for this, there's 3 pieces of art. There is A, B, and C. So allow yourself to tune into which one jumps out at you, which one talks to you, which one inspires you. And as I mentioned, there will be timestamps down below. So we'll start here with this. This will be A, image A. Let's see if we can get that into focal point. So if you've chosen this one, let's go into, okay, let's go into, I'm going to do a combination of just kind of intuitive readings and just pulling cards. A little bit like last time, but maybe not as lengthy, perhaps. So, yeah, the first phrase that comes through just as I'm tuning into A, and I'll put it back up there, is the diamond in the rough. What does that mean to you? The diamond in the rough. Are you the diamond in the rough? You didn't realize, sorry, you didn't realize there was so much pressure. Oh, it's rhyming. There was so much treasure and prize waiting in store for you. And I'm instantly getting reference points to The Alchemist. If you have read that or come across The Alchemist book by Paulo Coelho, it's a great book. Without giving it away, I guess the moral of the story that comes through that is searching for treasure and and going on a whole hero's journey or epic adventure, only to realize that it was coming back to the start again. So that kind of that theme that I've been talking about in June, or I've been talking about for a number of months, I feel. And that interview, that if you haven't seen it, where I spoke to Maddie, talking about coming full circle. So there may be some themes around coming full circle in an aspect of your life. And I almost want to say that you felt you wouldn't experience it. Like it was probably something that you had put to bed or put to rest with still heavy grief in your heart around it, but come to a level of acceptance that that was no longer going to be a part of your life, whether it's a job or relationship, and experience a connection. It feels more people-based, relationship-based. So it could be partnership, it could be it could be romantic partnership, it could be friendship-based. It's like something out of the blue is coming back to you. God, it's rhyming. I have a lot of different narratives in my head. I have different versions of my own aspects of self that talk through. I've noticed this for many years, and there is one that often is quite poetic, and I haven't had it for a while, so it's kind of cool. Very, very cool. So yeah, the diamond and the rough. So it may have been a rough, challenging, but there was a lot of transformation that occurred to create the diamond-like experience within your own healing process or energetic space, because I see the diamond as like a refined soul. So each facet is a aspect of our multidimensionality, and each time that it's polished, we've concluded a facet. So there's this feeling of completion, but it's like also this component of someone or something coming in that completely, off guard. You don't expect. You had kind of put that situation to bed, and that really brings in, it could just be restoring resolution or bringing something into a completion, or it could be igniting a whole new pathway. It will really depend on the individual. I'm going to get into the cards in a second. I feel like there's more. I'm just, as I close my eyes, I can see like image of a teardrop shape, like water, tears. So I feel like there's been a lot of emotion, outpouring emotion. There's a lot of weight or heaviness or grief that has been experienced. That now you get to be able to understand the fuller picture, the bigger version of what has really played out, maybe through someone else's experience, being able to reconcile things from the past for you to move forward, however that looks. So I'm just going to go into the cards, because the cards are completely kind of echoing what's coming through. So we've got the 10 of Swords and the 6 of Swords. So that's very mental. 10 of Swords here and the 6 of Swords. So interestingly enough, got a male and a female. This could be playing out in divine partnership connection. I mean, that kind of really highlights to me potentially just with the male and female, but it could be playing out in other, masculine, feminine, internal balancing process. And I think, no doubt, however it looks on the surface, it is going to bring in this process of completion within you. So the 10 of Swords says healing and second chance, or how I read that was give this healing a second chance, or give this opportunity a second chance to bring in this full phase of wholeness, unity. If it's not for another, do it for yourself. And that whole thing about forgiveness, finding deeper levels of forgiveness within yourself or situations. And it might be just something that's done through meditation. It may not play out in the physical 3D reality, but just be aware of that, of whatever. And this could be your personal breakthrough for July. We have a cautious progress. So we've got this Six of Swords here. So we've got this person sort of meditating and going within and seeking and finding the answers, and knowing that it is all held within internally. If you can access that internal space within the heart, you'll find the power to overcome, to be able to forgive, to reconcile whatever this, and through that, coming back to that diamond, refining yourself and refining it through the experience of interactions with another or other people involved. So yeah, it also has, there's also a feeling of crowds or groups of people coming together. So there might be events, or being called to go to events, or being called to go to social gatherings. I just saw like a group of gathering people coming together. So that may be a signal to you of, if you've kind of been in hermit mode, if you're feeling like getting out there, like, really accept those calls to wherever, because that may be part of the path of where you're being guided and instructed to, serendipitous, like, connections, or bumping into people, meeting new people as well. I feel like there's a real expansion coming through on social level. So it could be expanding your social networks, collaboration networks, expanding that, opening that up, new people coming in. Yeah. Old characters resurfacing. Yeah, there's a mixture of both, for sure. And so before I keep shuffling, we've got the Emperor and we've got the Test of Courage. So I'll just show those two cards here. The Emperor, Test of Courage. Once again, we've got this female, male, feminine, masculine, kind of it feels very balanced, or it wants to become in alignment, very balanced. The Emperor, to me, speaks immediately to taking back your power, reclaiming your power, speaking your truth, being in your own embodiment of truth, authenticity, power, but from a very calm, cool, collected place, and just knowing that you may be called to step up in your own personal life, or on perhaps a bigger level, to speak truths or be an advocate for others, to be able to lay down the law. Lay down the law, saying enough's enough. But it feels like a calm piece. It's not argumentative, it's not aggressive, it's just being able to finally express and speak truth. And so, yeah, and then we've got the Five of Wands, which is the test of courage, test of faith, standing up for what you truly believe in, standing up to those who maybe have disempowered you, those who have put you down or been catalysts for you to step up and into your power, potentially. Yeah, it's really, I want to say in the first part of the month, just based on the two sword cards alone, there's a lot of mental energy. So it's like, get your thoughts, get your mind right. Maybe exercising, writing down streams of consciousness, just to get out looping patterns mentally if you feel that you're stuck in mental loops, so that you can break beyond the barrier to be able to access solutions, rather than looping in negativity or unhelpful thought processes. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so we have the Liberation card coming next, and the Universal Christ. which is pretty spectacular. And I think it speaks for itself. But my interpretation is there's momentum, there's movement, there is opportunity for you right here and right now to really break free, to become, yeah, sovereign, to become your own leader, your own master, becoming self empowered through your own self mastery, breaking free of illusions. This feels like I'm not gonna lie, this feels like toxic relationship patterns and breaking free of those. It really feels like so yeah, I mean, being able to see, it's almost like there's been a veil or blindfolds that have been placed upon perception and vision, not being able to see the truth into situations for a reason. And now it's like through that liberation, because I'm really drawn to the eyes and the star in that image. Eyes have a lot of luminous light, so it's like a lot of light that's being able to be broken through, to be able to see the true nature of reality, what has really been taking place. And I feel like when I feel into that scenario, it doesn't feel shocking. It's almost like there is an aspect of you that knew. So there's not like this, I can't believe it. You know, it's kind of like, oh, I see the truth now, therefore I can be set free. I can, because I'm being able to see or perceive what I need to, what I've been asking for. So it's like there's been this subtle inner knowing, and then it's yeah, there's been this subtle inner knowing, and you've been asking to see the truth, and asking or dialoguing or praying on, wanting to be able to see what the truth is, so that you can have the solutions to make decisions, make choices, make positive choices for yourself. That feels like it's now being presented. And we have the universal Christ card, so that to me is an illumination of Christ consciousness, higher level of consciousness, accessing higher parts of your own brain, the higher mind. This feels like a real expansion in the upper level chakra area. There's like a highlighting here, third eye, crown. It's almost as though there's an expansion that's coming through that allows more of your higher self to kind of step in and be embodied. And it's like almost like the higher self steps into the vessel and takes over the wheel. It's like, right now we're on track. We're going this way. So I just want to bring in one or two more cards just to wrap that up. The cards don't want to play. It's interesting. I haven't used these cards since the beginning of 2020, and I felt guided to bring them out. They're the Thoth tarot, and I hesitated, and now it's not one single card wants to. Come on. This one. Queen of Cups. Okay. Queen of Cups. It's a really pretty card. There we go. Mastering your emotions. I feel like throughout this cycle, throughout all these healing second chances, unexpected people coming back in, being able to carry forward or come into forgiveness, resolution, being able to break away from toxic relationships or cycles or patterns, seeing the truth, stepping into your leadership role, that we've got, you know, the masculine, the divine masculine, the emperor energy, being the advocate for yourself, standing up for what is truth and what you truly believe in. I feel like through that there is a master. The Queen of Cups speaks to me around mastering emotional intelligence. And I almost feel like there's been a void of being able to fully connect with the power of your own manifestation because of not being able to fully connect with your emotional bandwidth in a positive way. So it could be that your nervous system has been kind of in fight or flight, and you've been in this constant survival mode. Therefore, emotions kind of shut down and you can't fully access them, or at least the highest scale of them. And I feel like through this, and what's really coming through for you, what is the diamond in the rough, and what you didn't realize was there all along, or what you gaining access to, new abilities coming through, is being able to work and access your own emotional intelligence and utilizing your own emotional coding for being able to work with your manifestations and bringing in new harmony, new alignment, more balance, peace, contentment, beauty, bringing in more beauty, soft, gentle energies coming in for you to be able to feel. And it's almost like you've been void of emotion, and now you're being able to tap back in and to feel again. And so what comes through is songs, music, being able to listen to music and be inspired by music, be moved by music, and work with music and songs and lyrics to strengthen your emotional intelligence, connection, and manifestation, and working towards whatever it is. Utilizing sound, vocal, it feels like throat's very important, sound, vocal, toning, but also singing, or just singing along, you know, that feels really important and powerful to you. Wow, what a month is coming up for you. I hope that that has helped. I hope that that has resonated. I really hope that you will get your own specific message in what I've brought through. So it may not be literal as I brought it through, but I hope that there's takeaways for you that make complete sense to you, that it has deepened your own access to your intuition. And just wishing you a beautiful July. And thank you once again. So we're going to move on now to card B, or image B, which is this beauty here. So if you've chosen that one, B, this will be your card. Mm. Mm. Okay. Straight away, the resonance from that card, I can feel a lot of energy of abundance, like a cup that's overflowing, having plenty. The image that came through is like the pot of gold and the rainbow. I feel like there's breakthroughs this month coming through in and around abundance, whether that's financial, material, or just what you need in abundance, support, ideally, support, career, abundance of energy to help move you into the next gear, move you into a new phase, moving where your soul wants to navigate you to. Kind of beautiful. Interesting. Repeated cards. Well, a repeated card. So I feel like potentially your breakthrough cycle is around limitations or lack, there's a lot of abundance that is becoming accessible to you. And I think the main thing that comes through is to not think in linear or limitation, but to be able to think in quantum or expansion, higher mind stuff. And if you feel it, know it's there, know it's in the field, and don't have to work, about how it's coming through. Know it's part of your soul agreement to experience a different experience. So it may have been, you might have been in lack or poverty or not having enough, and now it's moving into a new phase. And it's like really just about a shift that you've gone through internally and been working really diligently and hard at, and focusing on having that shift of whatever you have had in lack now starts to, the floodgates of abundance start to become, the opening starts to become apparent as we move through this month of July. It's ripe with opportunity. So it could be moving into new directions of work or collaboration, or additional things that might be setting up your own business, finally stepping into a pathway that feels soul aligned for you. So first two cards that have come out is the Hanged Man, waiting and suspense. So you may have been in the waiting room or feeling in limbo land for a little bit while things have been coordinating or happening in the background. But I feel like the waiting time or waiting period is kind of almost wrapping up as we move through. And then we have the Ace of Cups, which is new, beautiful new frequency and energy, new love energy coming in. So the Hanged Man is this kind of ebb and flow. And I feel like when I look at it and just see the two people on the seesaw balancing over the moon, I feel like there has been this waiting time of limbo and waiting, because there are things that have been happening in the background that you haven't been privy to. You couldn't have been privy to. It feels like there's more people involved than just you, and it's kind of needed all the ducks to line up in a row, however that looks. So it may be that, let's say, for example, whether it's talking about relationships or collaboration projects, there's other people involved, or another person involved. So it's about the timing and things coming into alignment. But we have the new love energy with the Ace card, which is starting a whole new cycle of emotional fulfillment, which, and I feel like once again with the cup and the flowing of that overflowing, I feel like the new love energy is what has been built up within you that overflows into aspects of your life. So it may be love energy into partnership, friendships, projects, work. It's whatever you feel that your heart is wanting to overflow and pour and expand and be able to, what I was looking for, be able to, whatever is, no, that's not the right word. Direct your focus and attention and love energy, and it's like whatever creation you want to pour that into is going to be really ripe, fertile, and abundant. And then it feels like it's really the beginning stages, and it feels like that's going to blossom and grow. Blossom and grow over the coming months and years. So we have the Emperor energy as well, which is really great. It's a powerful masculine energy coming through. That also came through in the A card as well. So you might want to go back and watch that. There may be a story or a theme that's playing out. That to me talks about stepping into kind of a leadership role, being able to step forward in your own masculine energy, which really means taking the reins, taking the lead, taking on role or responsibility that is in your favor, that gives you a position of influence, power, personal power. I'll reframe that. and be able to influence others in a positive, uplifting, and inspirational way. So it's giving you quite a responsibility, but you've been waiting for this moment, because like all the preparation that you've been through is like leading you to being able to step forward in that strength, in that personal empowerment, and be able to lead. And it could just be leading your family, and inspiring others. There's definitely a component there of inspiring others through your actions, and how even if you're not aware that people are watching, they are, on the sidelines, and just know that you're playing an influential role there. We've got taking a stand, which is the Seven of Wands. So it's walking across the drawbridge. I'll just show you that card right there. Get it into focus. Yeah, taking a stand. That to me also is moving forward. That almost has just that image itself is stepping over thresholds, or moving into one reality space to another, stepping into a whole new cycle. It could be moving. There could be elements of moving around, whether it's taking a trip, a vacation. It feels like there's, the pathway has been open and clear, where it before you would have had to take the full, like the leap of faith and not knowing where you land. This is a pathway that is becoming evidently clear as we move through the month of July. We've also got the number 7 there, just to confirm that. So maybe look towards the 7th of the 7th as being a pivotal day, where a lot more clarity comes in and around being able to see the pathway forward, and the what you need being laid out. So it's like you may not be able to prepare too far in advance. It's like these things have to unravel, unfold kind of more spontaneously and in the moment. I don't know, there's an air of excitement there. We've got heart and soul. Let's get a couple of these cards coming through. Heart and soul. To me, really speaks to coming back to, there's something that's coming through about going back into childhood, the heart and soul essence of your innocence, your desires, your being able to be connected, having a much larger perspective of what you knew before coming into this life, or before, growing up in a society that disconnected you from that heart soul experience or knowing. And it's like perhaps connecting into childhood memories is going to help support you in this leadership role, or stepping in influencing and inspiring others. It has very specific, because I'm actually seeing my childhood bedroom. I'll explain exactly what I'm seeing, because that might give context. I am actually re-experiencing right now contact experiences that I had as a child with different beings, and what information I was being given as a very, very young child. So it may be recalling or being able to access memories of realizing your infinite nature, like who you're connected with non-physically. Because I feel like that component feels like it's coming through, because there's a presence that's really strong that wants to make itself known to you, that feels more like an higher aspect of you, or a guide, or a being that wants to help navigate you through, almost giving you downloads or instructions to be able to access this abundance frequency, to be able to access these new pathway and collaboration projects, whatever it is, that this new thing that you're stepping into, and it's like they're helping lay or show you the pathway that's being laid out in front of you. And with that, they're helping build your confidence around being in that influential leadership role, however that looks. It's kind of beautiful. We also have the Revelation card. I'll show that one. Let's see. Yeah. Good. There we go. We've got the Revelation card. I feel like that is your own personal revelations coming back into realizing or remembering what else about like childhood or past experiences that may not even go back into childhood. It could be just a handful of years or a decade, but it feels like there's an importance of remembering. These are happy memories, remembering, having nostalgia, remembering good times, which helps rebuild your confidence, and it connects the dots and makes things reveal themselves in a much bigger, more expanded way of having those massive ahas, like, oh wow, yeah, I get it now. Okay, that's why that played out. That's why I had that experience. And it's as those memories start to pop up and they sort of connect and thread through, it gives you the divine order, the divine plan, the divine order. I love this card. And this card talks about in times of chaos, when you feel overwhelmed and you look at the state of the world and you feel kind of hopeless or helpless, it's asking you to step up in your perception and be able to see it from the bird's eye view and see that there is a divine order in chaos. And that might be tying into looking back at your past history, your bigger perspective of when you were in that smaller version going through situations that were, I feel they're positive, but maybe they were unsettling to your human experience if they were supernatural. And not understanding why they're occurring. But as you've been able to see multiple experiences as they've unfolded, you can see the divine order and the unfolding of how or why things unfolded in the way that they did. Yeah, I feel like there's more to that. I feel like that's a real specific directory into how you will be helping or leading people to some degree. It feels like, to me, it feels like your own personal story, your own personal experience is what makes it authentic, what makes it unique, and to not shy away from sharing or expressing that in ways that you feel are necessary or important. Yeah, cool. Oh. Now, for the Thoth Tarot that didn't want to come out in the first reading, we've had an influx of cards, so I'll skip. I won't skip. I will move through these ones perhaps with less detail, but we've got the Two of Pentacles, we've got the Fortune or the Wheel of Fortune, we've got the Ace of Swords and the Four of Wands. So I don't read these in traditional way, just so you know, but I will go through my own interpretation, but I'll show you the cards first of all. So we've got the Two of Pentacles, Fortune, and what have we got there? Is that the Sphinx, a monkey, and an alligator? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is. Maybe that's significant to some people. Ace of Swords. There we go. And the Four of Wands. So the Two of Pentacles is a balancing and equilibrium. We've got the sun, the moon there, so we've got yin yang, but it's also balancing, weighing out. I think this goes into starting a new project or venture or job. It feels like juggling maybe an old workplace or way of receiving income and having a new one, and finding that balance and equilibrium of how that new abundance is kind of trickling in, and then like the floodgates open. And it's like acknowledging the cycles once again. Delays are put there for a reason, limbo is put there for a reason. Just honoring the cycles and knowing that there is a balance of what's coming into play. Fortune card feels like the wrapping up. Fortune, Wheel of Fortune is end of a cycle, start of a new. Obviously, there is good fortune that comes through in the renewing of that. And that feels quite cosmically aligned, maybe even astrologically aligned. I feel like there's some sort of astrological influence that is creating this cycle of fortune, prosperity, abundance coming through. So if you know your astrology or you're curious about that, there's some sort of theme at play. We've got the Ace of Swords, which is opening new lines and ways and means of communication, being able to present yourself differently, being able to articulate yourself differently. Maybe speaking a foreign language might be even on the cards, but this is definitely being able to express yourself in non-confrontational ways that is very clear, very concise, and very appropriate for the people who you're going to be exposed to or influencing or inspiring in some way. And then we've got the Four of Wands, which is the happy home, the family card. It's the celebration card. It's about spending quality time with family, or that creation of just I'm seeing the traditional tarot, which is like a marquee, and there's like a family, there's like parents and two kids. And so to me, it feels like it's the perfect family situation. So this may be highlighted for you through the month of July in terms of maybe that's the new project that you're working on, is bringing more fun time in for the family, or whoever is your family. That may not be blood family, that could be soul family, could be animals might be your family, however that applies to you. But it's like through all the shifts and changes and all the stuff that's going on, it's like take that time, that special time for the personal interactions and that family time or downtime, self-care, nurturing, and going out on adventures or day trips, or just doing what is going to help support you having a balance of home life, work, spiritual. It's just having that real good quality meal, or having discussion over dinner, and really taking the time to have those really precious moments in the people who are nearest and dearest to you. So I hope that message sparks some inspiration, resonates, gives you some ahas, and I am wishing you an incredible July of 2023. Thank you for watching, and thank you so much for being here. And then we're going to move into Lucky Last. So card C, the final piece of the puzzle, which is this one here. So if you've chosen C, artwork C, card C, this is the final piece. So you can see we've got diamond again, we've got hearts. And that was the main image that was shown to me before creating the diamonds, and that came later, but it was very much about heart-centered space, focusing on heart expansion, connection to the resonance of heart, listening to 528 hertz, heart chakra, or heart frequency music, and really this focus on everything that you need sits and resides within the soul self that sits in that heart space. Oh, okay. All right. Let me start shuffling. Let's see if there's anything else more that wants to come in with that. The heart, the heart. The heart is the home. The heart supports. Yeah, the heart is at the forefront and supports everything in the physical aspect. So it's like putting the heart energy at the forefront of everything in your life and what you do, how you carry yourself, how you go about finding solutions, negotiations, manifestations. Not getting any imagery. It's just that narrative. So interesting. It's very, it's coming through very auditory focused, or just a knowing. That might be your strongest intuitive sense. Audience. Cognitive. All right. Straight off the mark, we got the Wheel of Fortune, change and action. I just feel like I want to dive deeper into the imagery of that card. That I feel like I'm actually like mentally blocked, like visually blocked. I can't actually see, but I can hear. So that could be a strong message for you through the month of July, is not so much paying attention or not being able to see as clearly, but know what you hear in your innermost voice as a guidance tool that is your strongest throughout the month of July, or not believing everything that you see as as truth, and listen to the narrative, and if it differs, pay more attention to the narrative rather than maybe what you're seeing on the screen. And that could be a great exercise, right? Watching something, and then listening to the voice of the higher self, the higher guidance speaking to you, and how that would differ to. I think we do that anyway, don't we? Our spidey senses allow us to feel into whatever we're consuming. What's, does it feel good? Does it feel right? Does it feel a bit off? Why is that? Okay. I feel like this for this month is going to be in a little bit internal for you. Soul seeking, soul searching, recalibrating on the energetic planes. What does that mean? So funny. I don't realize how much I operate from my vision when it's because I normally I'll hear something, then I'll have a visual that it will accompany that. Just a little insight into how I receive information. What was the words? Recalibration on the energetics and energetic planes. Feels like a bit of like a soul retrieval type internal experience of recalling back your parts, or reclaiming your power, reclaiming scattered energies of where you've perhaps leaked your power, you've given away too much, you've overstepped boundaries even. So not just you overgiving, but perhaps also where you have overstepped the lines as well. There's this, to me, it feels like a dispersing of where your energy has been put out, and now it's like calling it all back into you. A bit like what I was talking about before in one of the beautiful cards coming through. When I was talking about in the first one, how I see the diamond energy is the diamond is the soul, And each facet of that is the refined aspect or experience of self through our multidimensionality. So based on I guess if we want to talk about the imagery, is like if you're thinking about all the scattered aspects of where your heart has been put out, you know, maybe taken advantage of or hurt, or, you know, it's like this calling back in of all the heart components of the soul back into the heart space for you to access, refine, work with, expand, so that you can be more whole and unified within yourself. And it feels like it's a journey of self-discovery and inner worship of the self, acknowledgement of the self, honoring of the self, seeing yourself in different light, different way. Perhaps you've had a narrative or perception of yourself that hasn't been that kind, and now having more compassion for yourself as you kind of recall these aspects or energies back to you, being able to experience or understand yourself in a whole new light, in a whole new way. Yeah, cool. All right, I'm going to read these in reverse as they've come out because that feels very, very fitting. So the first card that is come out, well, the first one that I'm going to read, we have the Two of Wands, which is your own power. How fitting, huh? Let's get that. No. Oh, yeah. There we go. This feels like almost like an invocation or a yeah, invocation or speaking out loud, or yeah, recalling, claiming. It's almost like almost like going out into a remote space or location or somewhere safe within the confine of your own home, and like almost calling back, or through voice or tone or command. It's like I call back all the pieces of my heart wherever they reside, and bringing them back to me, because I am now I am now becoming whole and unified within myself. So it's like, yeah, this taking back your power, reclaiming the strength and the intelligence of the strength of your own heart, your beautiful, beautiful, precious heart. So there's a lot of green in that card too. So it feels like, yeah, very heart-based healing level, but also the power and ability to heal through this process. What you'll learn, you may want to document the process that you're going through, because this may be, if you're a practitioner or stepping out to be some sort of a healing practitioner or working in some sort of modality, what you witness and go through throughout this month feels monumental. It feels huge. And this may be something that you will utilize down the track to support others, potentially. It may not be, but if that resonates for you. But it's bringing the two worlds together. It's bringing this human, very, very human aspect of you, and it's also bringing the soul self, and it's bringing, merging the two together. So once again, this unification within you of being able to connect to your higher power, your higher truth, your higher purpose, and operate that from a very human level, so that there's this practicality, there's this relatability, there's this way that you can master the two worlds together in a really easy way that has never been perhaps managed by you before. I want to say maybe you've been someone who's struggled being a sensitive soul in a very harsh world, and it feels like by doing this process or regaining or calling back your power and strength, this is going to give you sort of a power up or a charge to be able to operate from the energetic space of your sensitivity, but not in a place of being pushed around, a place of being able to shine your light, expand your light, and not absorb, which I think is the goal of any empath or sensitive, highly sensitive person. So we've got the next card that is the Eight of Wands. So we've got swift decisions. That one just says to me like growing your wings and flying over a common bound, being able to maneuver over what may have been bumps or challenges or tests or initiations on your path. But this is like being able to like coast right over the top of them, whereas being able to see it from a higher perspective, once you've gone through that process of recalibration, it feels like you can make decisions easily, effortlessly, and being able to see what is the what is the highest good, what is the advantage for me, what is the advantage for if there's other people involved, being able to see with precise clarity, and being able to operate and make decisions from that higher perspective rather than whereas before it may have come from more of a wounded space or hurt place. This is making higher judgment calls based off, yeah, like I was saying before, that the higher self jumping into the physical body and grabbing the wheel. That's the energy that it feels like that's occurring. We also have the two other cards that have come out side by side. We've got the Star and the Wheel of Fortune. I'll show you these two right there. Beautiful cards, especially to come out together. So the Wheel of Fortune is a change in the words just slip right out of my mouth. A change in circumstances, a change in a change in circumstances for you that has come about through past actions. So actions that you have put in place that have been in the past come back in full circle. They come back looping back around for completion. And so it's like, yeah, the goodwill or the good deeds that have been done being rewarded for past actions and things that you've done that you may have even forgotten about. They may seem trivial to you, but it's like being this payment forward or what's coming through from past cycle moving into new cycle of regaining and reclaiming your power and pulling back all your energy propels you into this Wheel of Fortune, new cycle, change. There's action, there's a lot of swift movement that occurs too. It's almost like once that process occurs, things may have been really slow paced, slow, steady. There's like a swiftness, there's an acceleration. All of a sudden, a lot of things happen at once. So it's like things coming into your reality or your experience that may take you by surprise. They might be unexpected, but it's things that you've implemented from the past that are coming back around to almost reward you, to gift to you, to give to you, to acknowledge to you, which is only going to further spur on this inner work that you do, because you're going to start to see the benefits of that manifesting and showing up in your life. And it's like, okay, I want more of that. That was really powerful. That worked. Okay, how can we develop on that? The Star, hope, inspiration, and nature. So the Star talks about divine pathways. The Star comes after the Tower, and so the Tower is when we get shaken up. We have unexpected events occur in our life that aren't foreseen and that create big changes, big necessary changes, so that we can get to the Star card. So obviously we don't have the Tower card here, but just to give you some context, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. So that this change of pace, this change of cycle, that steps into a new of the Star, of stepping into what I call the divine will path. And I think that there is a big difference of when we step off our I think there is a different paths that we have in our lifetime. One is of a free will nature where we can exercise our own free will. And I feel like there is a point in time where we get the choice to operate from our soul, from the divine or our soul's blueprint in what we designed before we came here. And I think when we click into that pathway and step into the nature of divine will as opposed to our own human free will, a lot changes in our life. And I feel like that process of you sort of calling back that is really tapping into that and being able to start moving down this new trajectory that is very soul led, very divine mission based led. Um, I feel like it opens up new ways of operating, seeing things from different vantage points. Um, but it's also opening up a lot of opportunities for you. I'm just seeing like this hallway. It's interesting because normally when I describe that whole free free will versus divine will, I talk about how the ascension corridor when you go on your divine will gets more and more narrow because there's less maneuvers that you can go off that path. So it kind of, the doors close and the path gets more narrow for you to follow. But this is showing me in the complete opposite, which is interesting because it's showing me this narrow pathway, which is the pathway that is now adamantly clear for you to walk upon. But there is doors that are opening that is giving you opportunities along the way to, no, it's not a revisitation. It's a collection. It's like accumulating things. It's almost like collecting things from the past. There's this thing from the past. Reconnecting and experiencing people from the past, them gifting you something. It may not be tangible, it may not be physical, but gifting you or giving you something back or giving you a validation, a reflection of confirmation of the true self and not the wounded self. So it's like, let's say as an example, you may have had exchanges with people in the past who have that have been like undesirable or unpleasant, and they've said things about you or whatever. It was like the reflection or what was exchanged through conversation was a reflection of how you saw yourself back then. And then it's like you get to re-encounter, and this could just be through dream space, there's so many ways that you could re-encounter people from the past and have a totally different exchange and a totally different reflection come from them where they kind of see the real you. And for you, I feel like that gives you inspiration or hope or validation that you're on the right path, but it's also helping heal your heart as well, I feel. So it's like, yeah, I feel like there's 3 encounters through July. As I said that, I'm gonna laugh so hard. Like, yeah, that's actually not like, of course that could be on the cards because we have a Venus going into retrograde coming into next month, which is, I imagine that some may experience resurfacing of ex-partners, ex-lovers, coming up in the field. So there might be some sort of completion or resolution that gives you a sense of peace and the fact that maybe, of course, the lovers card just popped out. Yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? It heals, it resolves things. It allows you to know that perhaps what played out was just a representation of where you were at that time. And okay, ultimately what it's showing is it's showing your advancement, your growth, and it's showing you how you've become a different person. Therefore, your reality, your experience is going to reflect that tenfold, which is beautiful, really, really beautiful. So we've got the Lovers card. I'm just going to pull out a couple more. The Matrix, yes. It used to be my favorite. It kind of still is my favorite card from this deck. The Matrix card. So yeah, once again, just to recap as I pull the final cards, this is very much a reflective internal, but it's not a deep dive. It feels like it's a necessary, even at times quite joyful experience of reclaiming your power, calling you back, really connecting with the heart, bringing in those energies or soul fragments, and having encounters from the past and different reflections showing you that you are actually moving down a different pathway. It also may entail like really understanding your role or abilities as a healer, and it's also receiving rewards of things that you've done from the past coming back around in unexpected ways. Reflection over past relationships seems to be a theme that's highlighted. And I feel like that's because you're moving into a new direction of love or connection, whether it's with self or with another. So we have, hang on, I'll show you these and I'll try. We have the Lovers card. And then we also have the Matrix card. So those two combined there. The Lovers card does talk about, actually, I'm going to read from the book. I haven't done that in a while, but I feel like there's something that I need to read specifically. Lovers. I think it's a poem. Yeah, it is. It's just a poem. Through you, I see what otherwise could not see. The reflection of a star, so bright that its light fills heaven. Glimmering creations floating out at sea, love and heavenly bodies. Your love forever unfolds, forever illuminates. Through endless cycles and seasons, God and goddesses dream through us. So this could be taking that love experience that I was talking about, that heart expansion experience and recalibration, to a whole new level of unity, of expansion within yourself. But I also feel like it potentially could be indicating the new opening of a relationship or deepening of a love romantic connection. And that might be why you are going through this process of reevaluation of past people or connections. And as I said, that could be coming up through dream space. There's a number of ways that that can happen, especially as we move through a Venus retrograde cycle. The Matrix talks about not fully understanding the bigger picture because there's like 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. And it's like you've got all the pieces, but they haven't come fully into focus. And this card talks about over the coming couple of months, things become adamantly clear. So maybe while you're moving through these steps and phases of this healing, this heart integration, this past energy, relationship energy, you may not have the bigger picture immediately. So be patient, gentle with yourself. It may come through drips and drabs, and then it's all of a sudden it will be highlighted. It will become a lot more clearer to you. But it feels, and you may not feel like there's a partnership or a deepening of your own intimate relationship on the horizon. That could be unexpected for you, but you might look back and go, oh wow, we went through a really rough or rocky period, and then we've come out the other side and things are just magnificent. So that also probably could be a challenge for some people through that Venus retrograde cycle too. And I think what it really comes down to is understanding what is most important to us in our lives, in our connections, and not settling, and being able to clearly articulate and communicate that to others, and try and understand where they're at, and vice versa. And that helps. Communication is key and vital in relationships, and when you can be brutally open and honest with yourself and also with another, I mean, that's true intimacy right there. So I'm just going to pull one last card. If it wants to come. No, I might try the other deck, see if that. If I instant know as I pick that up. I just want one more card. Quite literally the last three. No, sorry. Quite literally the same three cards have come out that were in the B reading, so you may want to go back into that. Funnily enough, now there's been like this thread of similar cards that have come up through all three readings. So if you want to pick them apart, watch them all. There may be interwoven messages. It may be just one whole long reading of picking different aspects of your life. So feel free, if you feel called to. There are timestamps, so you don't have to listen to this very long video all at once. But we've got the Two of Pentacles, the Fortune, and the Ace of Swords. So the Two of Pentacles here. Oh, can we get that in better focus? Yeah. Fortune. Oops. And then we've got the Ace of Swords. So the Ace of Swords is new cycles in communication. So based off like what I was talking about, Swords is about being able to speak the truth, cut through the bullshit. Also having very clear mental space. So it's like not just being able to be clear and concise in your communication with yourself, with others, but it's also being very, very clear mentally, so that it's like there's no confusion. When you talk, it's clear, it's concise, it's to the point, but it's also coming from a space of heart-centered love. So Fortune, so I think, yeah, we've got two Fortune cards. Yeah, Wheel of Fortune, moving into a new cycle. So that's been really, really highlighted here. Moving into a new cycle of connection, relationship, communication, equilibrium, yin and yang, balance within your own masculine and feminine. The reason I say that is because the Two of Pentacles, that final card there has like the moon and the sun, and it's got that kind of the infinity loop and sign there. So it's really about coming home to yourself this month for you, just to summarize, reclaiming or regaining your power, being able to accept or receive whatever it is that has been already actioned in your past to come back around to reap rewards, stepping into real soul expansion or into your divine will path. And there's themes around love, connection, relationships, reevaluating potentially three from the past that is going to give you confidence to move into a new cycle, being able to clearly express yourself and be clear in your mind, clear in the headspace. Oh, there's also the Four of Wands, and I didn't even see that till I was about to wrap up, which inevitably will lead you into happy home life and space. So know that if this month may feel very insular or going inward, doing that very important process, know that it will, on the other side of that, there will be tremendous rewards. So in terms of contentment, fulfillment, and happy heart, happy home. So I hope that that helps. I hope that that resonates. There may be some ahas in there for you, but most of all, wishing you an absolutely incredible July. And I am doing individual sessions. So if you feel that you would like support, if you would like to connect with me one-on-one, all the details will be in the description box below. Tentatively, I will be running some online events again throughout July. I just don't have the details yet. Otherwise, I would have put that up, but keep an eye out for that. If I don't connect with you, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your contribution to the shift and change on this planet, and just your presence. So thank you. Mwah. Big love to everyone, and I will catch you next month. All right. Bye-bye.